people have always had trouble pronouncing his name. If you don't speak German, it's not at all obvious how you're supposed to say it. A safe bet is to start with a hard G on G and end with a T, Goethe.
Goethe. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sandra and today we're talking nonfiction. So I have 7 nonfiction books to recommend. These books I have recently read, so I wanted to recommend them, and they are very much on brand with like what's going on in society right now. So obviously I don't need to discuss it. The books will discuss that by themselves. So I highly encourage you to pick up these books. And yes, this is the sunlight just gone now. Daylight savings. Oh my god. I love this. So, oh, we're back. The sun is back. Thankfully. What the hell is going on? So, yeah, hope you enjoy me going through these books and getting aggravated because I just can't get a break when it comes to this room and getting some sunlight. And without further ado, let's get started. I try to stay away from anything that was business, productivity, or self-help. So I try to keep that on the other channel. I sometimes talk about those books while I'm reading them, but for now I just wanted like non-fiction books that have nothing to do with that side of, you know, business, productivity, etc. So the first book I want to talk about is Upstream by Mary Oliver. This is like a collection of meditative essays on nature, solitude, and the craft of writing. Every section is like a tapestry to pull your attention and to make you aware of how to look at beauty and how to look at the world and how to look at nature. Mary Oliver in this one, she discusses the fauna and flora of her natural world, but she also discusses the great writers that have influenced her in her inner world. So she talks about Walt Whitman, Emerson, and Edgar Allan Poe, for example. And honestly, it's just such a delightful read. You could just read one of these small essays in the morning, put yourself in a good mood, get yourself inspired to write, get yourself inspired to go for a walk, to go explore nature, to go in the forest. And yeah, I highly recommend this. I think everyone needs a little bit of delight and attention to small things right now, and I love this one. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive in uprising, and gave to it neither power nor time. Then we have A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. This was based on a speech that Virginia Woolf gave at Girton College back in 1928 in Cambridge. And this is highly seminal work. It's highly feminist as well. So if you don't like that, then that's not your cup of tea. But no matter what, I highly recommend everyone to read this one. Woolf contemplates why it's so important for women to have their own room, so their own personal space to create. And not only that, to have their own money and freedom to create as well. So it's these two factors that have hindered women to contribute to the literary world of centuries past. And that's why we don't have that many examples not only of women lives, but women lives in fiction and women's thoughts in fiction. And that's what her talk was about. The title Women in Fiction might mean, and you may have meant it to mean, women and what they are like, or it might mean women and the fiction that they write, or it might mean women and the fiction that is written about them, or it might mean that somehow all three are inextricably mixed together and you want me to consider them in that light. All I could do was to offer you an opinion upon one minor point. A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction, and that, as you will see, leaves the great problem of the true nature of women and the true nature of fiction unsolved. The next book I want to recommend is The Joy of Pain by Richard H. Smith. It's a nonfiction book that explores both the psychological and sociological implication of Schadenfreude, and Schadenfreude is from the German, and it's that kind of like joy, shameful joy that you get when you see like your enemy or someone you don't like come about a misfortune. Sometimes it can even be someone close to you. It could be a family, a friend, or acquaintance. It's just part of our human nature to have those type of feelings, and that's what he discusses in this book. A lot of things can amplify Schadenfreude, such as envy and jealousy, and the deservingness that we feel that someone has to right a kind of justice that we want. So for example, if someone hurt you and then you see them get hurt back, you feel like it's deserved. And we can't really contest that. And this is why we love revenge stories. This is why we love the concept of revenge. But this book really goes into that, what it means to have revenge, what it means to be envious and jealous, and the author really digs deep on these matters. I really found this book interesting to read, and I think it's very relevant in our times because we're always constantly comparing ourselves. And now that we have so many celebrities, so many like influencers and content creators, even me being a YouTuber, you might watch me and if I struggle or if I'm mispronouncing a word, you might feel so like self-righteous and you might feel like, oh look, see, she's not that smart, you see, she's not that well read, and it's just such a human thing. And I think we are just aggravating our schadenfreude nowadays because we are living in a time where we're just so connected and we can see everyone's flaws and stumbles and, you know, political views and everything in real time. So it's very hard not to engage in schadenfreude. I would say, if anything, we are engaging in more schadenfreude than ever before, in my opinion. We are canceling people left and right. I'm not saying that some people shouldn't be canceled. I'm just saying that we are not even giving people like the chance and opportunity to have discussions anymore. You know, we just really want to tear people down, even good people down, you know. As the 17th century writer François de la Rochefoucauld expressed in a maxim, if we had no faults of our own, we will not take so much pleasure in noticing those of others. The next book I have is The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. For those of you who don't know, John Green is one of my favorite authors, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Now he's writing a lot of nonfiction. He has a book on tuberculosis that will come out in 2025, and I'm so excited to pick it up and read it, because the thing about John Green's writing is that it's very human. It just reads like very human. It's like a reflection of the Vlogbrothers channel that they run, him and his brother Hank Green. So I highly recommend watching them and reading their works. But I picked this one because John Green puts his personal touch at reviewing things on the planet Earth, okay, on a scale of 5 stars. So he reviews anything from events to songs to animals and everything in between on our planet Earth, and it plays about with the word Anthropocene. So from Goodreads, Anthropocene is the current geological age in which human activity has profoundly shaped the planet and its biodiversity. So like I said, this is a very humanist book. It will, you know, tug at your heartstrings. If you are in a stage right now where you don't believe in humanity, you really hate humans, and you really hate, you know, everything that's going on, I think you should pick this one up, because you will cry, you will understand that we are in this together. We are not here forever, and that's what makes us very special, or at least that's why we think we're so special. So definitely recommend reading this one. I think everyone has read this so far, but if you are one of those people that have not read this, this is your opportunity to go and pick it up. It's easy to forget how wondrous humans are, how strange and lovely. Through photography and art, each of us has seen things we'll never see: the surface of Mars, the bioluminescent fish of the deep ocean, a 17th century girl with a pearl earring. Through empathy, we've felt things we might never have felt otherwise. Through the rich world of imagination, we've seen apocalypses large and small. We're the only part of the known universe that knows it's a universe. We know we are circling a star that will one day engulf us. We're the only species that knows it has a temporal range. The next book I want to recommend is Freedom is a Constant Struggle: Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundations of a Movement by Angela Y. Davis. Highly recommend this book. Honestly, this has been published about a decade ago. It's a bunch of collection of interviews and speeches by Angela Davis. Davis talks about the importance of intersectionality, freedom for Palestine, and how Black women have contributed to a lot of liberation movements. Also, a big part of this book is about the prison industrial complex and why the prison abolitionist movement is important. Davis argues that we are living in a state of terror and slavery under capitalist surveillance right at home in North America. It's not just happening at the other side of the world. It's happening here, it's happening at home, and it's being condoned by capitalism. I do believe that this should be required reading both in the States and in Canada, and I'm just so glad that I have a copy. Honestly, the reason why I want to talk more and more about books is because right now, with the banning of books, it's so insane and crazy. But again, it's not, because we know this is coming. And that's why intersectionality is important. That's why it's important to share information, share books. It's why it's important to not ban books. Anyways, you know what I mean. So I'm going to read you another passage. It says here at the very, very beginning, before she even starts her work, okay? She says, "The powerful have sent us a message. Obey, and if you seek collective liberation, then you will be collectively punished. In the case of Europe, it's the violence of austerity and borders where migrant lives are negated, allowed to drown in sea buffer zones. In the case of the United States, Black and Native lives are systematically choked by an enduring white supremacy that thrives on oppression and settler colonialism, and is backed by drones, the dispossession of territories and identity to millions, mass incarceration, the unpeopling of people, and resource grabs that deny that indigenous lives matter and that our planet matters. All around us and up close, we are being told not to care, not to collectivize, not to confront." Pick this book up. The next book I read is Three Women by Liza Tadeo, and no, this is not fiction, this is non-fiction, and it is formatted in a way where it can be read like a fiction book, but it's definitely not, and you can understand that from the beginning. This book is basically a decade's worth of investigative journalism on American women's lives and sexual lives, as well as their emotional desires. In this book, we follow 3 different stories by 3 different women. We follow Sloane, who is a co-owner of a restaurant with her husband, who likes to see her have sex with men and women. Next, we follow Lena, who is a stay-at-home wife, and her husband refuses to touch her or engage with her, and she basically rekindles with her first love. Then we follow the trial of 20-year-old Maggie, who's coming to terms with her past relationship in high school with her English teacher that was both inappropriate and sexual. Honestly, this is a heavy one to read. You know, you have to be in a good headspace. Honestly, a lot of people think that this was too voyeuristic, but I think that this was just very raw and honest and very important. Like, a lot of the things that all 3 women have gone through are things that all women go through to a certain extent, you know. I'm just gonna read you the first line. Trigger warning, because it starts this way. And if you want to skip that, please skip that when I put the book down, okay? It says, "When my mother was a young woman, a man used to follow her to work every morning and masturbate in step behind her." That's how it starts. So you know what you're in for from the get-go, and I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend watching the show. There's only 1 season, obviously, and it's about all 3 women, but it's also about Lisa. And I think her story is the one that's more fictionalized in the show, because, you know, obviously the stories of the women are real, but her story is a bit fictionalized because she doesn't even take the name of Lisa, she takes the name of Gia. But yeah, highly recommend watching the show and reading the book. And then the last book I have here is Bluets by Maggie Nelson. Bluet is another lyrical, meditative, fragmented book, and it's basically talking about the color blue, and not only just like about blue, the emotion, but it is also chronicling Maggie Nelson's own sadness and despair after she goes through a failed relationship. So I really highly recommend this. This was such a lovely book to read and very quick, and it's something that you will always come back to because it's so dense and it's so well researched when it comes to blue, and you know, the philosophers she refers to, the paintings she refers to. If you like art and photography and philosophy, you're definitely gonna like this one. I'm gonna read you fragment 8. Fragment 8 says, "Do not, however, make the mistake of thinking that all desire is yearning. We love to contemplate blue not because it advances to us, but because it draws us after it," wrote Goethe. And perhaps he is right. How do you say his name? Goethe? Goethe? Let me Google it.
People have always had trouble pronouncing his name. If you don't speak German, it's not at all obvious how you're supposed to say it. A safe bet is to start with a hard G on G and end with a T. Goethe.
Goethe. Okay, let's start over, okay? Because I'm embarrassed now. Okay, we love to contemplate blue not because it advances to us, but because it draws us after it, wrote Goethe. and perhaps he is right, but I am not interested in longing to live in a world in which I already live. I don't want to yearn for blue things, and God forbid for any blueness. Above all, I want to stop missing you. Okay, guys, that was it. That was the 7 nonfiction books that I've recently read and I highly recommend. And I hope you pick these books up. I hope you enjoy them. I think the only book you might have never heard about is The Joy of Pain, because that was just a book that I found discounted at the bookstore many moons ago, and I finally read it this year because I've always been interested in reading it. So yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. Let me know if you want more nonfiction recommendations, if you want creativity books. I'm open to trying my best to deliver anything you guys want. Oftentimes when I'm researching a novel or when I'm working on something, I love to read books of the same thematic realm or genres or literary period. So just let me know. I will be coming back with more book related videos. I'm debating right now if I should split the writing videos from the book videos and go back to how I was doing it before. Yes, that means that I'm gonna have 3 active channels again, and it's just more for me and then also for you guys, the viewers, because I'm never too sure if people like to watch book content and writing content on one channel. I feel like most booktubers and YouTubers and author tubers, they're either doing writing or books. I tried combining it on this channel, but I just don't feel that there's a success on the writing mix into the book content. So what I'm going to be doing is that reading vlogs, book recommendations, and then even maybe books on writing, whatever, might still be on this channel, but it's going to be mainly focused on reading vlogs, books, and then on the other channel, the writing channel, it's going to be writing vlogs and writing videos, like practical videos and videos to help your writing and help my writing. So, and if you're interested in any of that writing related content, then you can look down below for that writing channel. It's just Sandra Mixer Writes. And I still have Sandra's Shelf. I do a pretty bad job at being consistent on that one. I do a pretty bad job at being consistent in general, but you know, I'm feeling like 2025 is my year, if not 2026. No, I'm serious. I feel like I will just be posting a video on either of these 3 channels when I feel like I have a video ready, you know, when I feel like I've read enough books or I've researched enough about a certain topic. Because, you know, sometimes like I feel when you're just vlogging all the time, you lose the meaning and you lose like the excitement of filming a video. So that's where we're at with the channel, with the videos, with everything. I have been working on my writing. I've been writing more consistently, so that's why I want that record for myself, but also I want to be motivated. I want to find people that love writing as well. So I love the community we have on here. I think a lot of the people that watch these videos, they love reading and books and literature, so that's amazing, and I will never trade that. And I'm also thinking of bringing some French book reviews and French book vlogs, maybe once a month, once every 3 months, we'll see. That's just something for me so that I can practice my French, and because I read a lot of French books as well. Not as much anymore, but I need to make sure I do because I'm gonna lose my French if I don't. So yeah, that was a little update. Thank you for staying past the video recommendation, and I'll see you on the next bookish video. Bye!